All right. We're live. We're live. All right, guys. Thanks so much for tuning back in for episode 2 of the RamblinFly podcast. I'm one of the hosts, Adam, from Blue Line and from Short Bus and Wildfly. We also have our other host, Brent, here with us today. And one of the biggest things that is going to come out of the podcast, we're going to go ahead and give you. Brent is going to tell us how to pronounce his last name. So, Brent, I'm going to turn it over to you to really drop some knowledge on the kids.
This is what we're here for, to bring the knowledge to the people, because everyone cares about my last name.
I can't figure out how to say it.
Well, I did have a few people ask how to pronounce my last name, and it's purely phonetic.
I'm sure.
You just sound it out. Hermanussen.
All right. Well,
I mean, we all went to preschool.
Most of us. If I got it right, but
I
didn't. Well,
Hermanussen.
I didn't graduate. I went many times to preschool, I guess, but
you repeated that class. All right. Well, now that everyone knows the information, everyone's just going to leave.
Now the cat's out of the bag. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate it. Thanks for stopping by. Well, but seriously, thanks for all you guys that watched episode 1. We couldn't believe how many people actually watched it. Hopefully this one's a little better. I know we had a few technical difficulties in the last one. We hope we've cleaned some things up, and we're ready to rock and roll in this episode. So we've got some cool stuff coming to you today. We got some good questions from you guys. Really appreciated everyone who asked a question or kind of donated their time to the podcast to give us some ideas. We've got Brent's got a couple cool talking points. We've got some current event stuff coming up for Christmas. We also talk about PVC free fly lines and what that means, and then we kind of go in and answer quite a few questions. I have a new product alert that's, I think, going to be a really big product in the fly fishing industry, and Brent, as always, found the funniest video on the internet this week. So Brent, you want to kick us off with some holiday shopping advice?
Totally. Well, I guess just to start off, the holiday thing, everyone's heard it a million times, but there's supply chain issues, and your fly shop might not have the exact product you want in there, which, in my mind, that's fine, because it might get you out of your habit of buying the same stuff, or it might make you try something new. Maybe you're looking for you might be looking for a 9-foot 5 weight, but now this might force you to try a 10-foot 4 weight, or buy a streamer rod instead of a nymphing rod. Well, anyway, that could be good.
That's the best advice I've ever heard.
Yeah. Just go straight to the streamer rod. Basically, what I want to say is there are supply chain issues, and actually in G. Loomis's case, there's some labor issues. It's hard to get people in the factory to actually build rods. We have a decent amount of materials, but anyway, if you're going into your fly shop, be patient with them. They all want to get you the product just as much as you want the product. So listen to their advice for some alternatives. You might be missing out on a total new style of fishing to you that would be more fun than what you've been doing the rest of your life. So something to think about there. What's going on the Blue Line side? Why, as far as supply goes?
Yeah, so definitely you see it in every fly shop that I've been in recently. There's a pretty good shortage going on right now with fishing fly tying materials. Hooks, of course, we know a lot of hooks come out of Japan and China, and a lot of materials are sourced here from the U.S. But we ran into an issue with gamakatsu hooks. So one of our most popular patterns, the Cooter Brown, is tied on a gamakatsu hook, and they were not able to source that hook, which is pretty disappointing. So we're out of stock of some flies that we never actually got in on our last order because of it. And I'm seeing it a lot in the fly tying world, where or trying to go into your local shop and buy products, they may not have, the colors or, the exact product, or maybe they don't have some cool new product you're looking for. But just like what Brent was saying, I think one of the things to take away from that is maybe it kind of gets you a little bit out of your groove, which can be a good thing. Because I found a product the other day that I really hadn't messed with a lot before. I was looking for a kind of dubbing, and I ended up finding a different kind of chenille that I ended up using for the same thing. So it was pretty cool. I may not use the chenille for the rest of my life, but was a good point to what you just said there was, kind of get out of your comfort zone a little bit, try some new things, try maybe a different product. If it's something, tying related, fishing, flies or whatever, give a different fly a shot if you can't get the one that you like. So, but it is tough. It's definitely a weird time in the fishing community because I've never seen this. I mean, if you walked into any fly shop and said, "Hey, I want this rod," every other time of my life I've ever been to a fly shop, they'd be like, "Heck yeah, let's do it." And now if you walk in and say, "Hey, I want this rod," they may not have it. So that's a good point, Brent.
Yeah, I like that you geek out on the hooks for your flies so much that you're like, no, we have to use this one hook on the Cooter Brown.
Yeah, I won't sub different hooks.
Like
the hooks. The hooks are like the biggest thing for me because you got to have like the right hook, the right shape, the right it's got to be right. So we use a lot of different hooks, but yeah, Gamakatsu was having a hard time getting, especially their bulk stuff.
Right.
So anyways, that was a tough hang up for us, and I know we've been talking. I know there's a couple G Loomis rods that are on the order sheet that I want but can't get, mainly that new Euro rod.
Euro Pro.
No, it's not. The Euro Pro.
Yeah.
Blue Line Euro products coming never.
Yeah, the
maybe.
Cooter Brown is a Euro fly, right?
I Euro nipped that quite a bit with that new 10-foot NRXE, whatever.
It's an IMX Pro E, but
IMX Pro E. I need you to do a video where you're Euro nymphing like a 6-inch streamer.
We almost did on that video I did with Avid Max. We were throwing some big heavy sculpins on them.
Some big stuff.
Yep.
That can be deadly. Nymphing streamers is underrated. It's an underrated technique for sure.
Yep. Actually, in the short bus video, I was zero nymphing streamers. Or maybe it was the Goldenfly version of the day we went and fished with you guys.
Yeah. We dead drifted some streamers. I don't think I never ran a bobber.
You might as well be nymphing
streamers.
if you're dead drifting streamers.
Whoa, hey. I don't know about that.
Just calling it how it is here.
Don't you dare reduce me to that.
All right, we're in the weeds. We're in the weeds.
We got in the weeds. Get the weed eater out. But anyways, wanted to give you guys maybe just a little spin on if you haven't been in a fly shop recently, if you're going in a fly shop for a loved one or a friend to pick up a couple things maybe for Christmas. Definitely, you will likely see the fly shop is a little low on inventory, and most fly shops and most companies in our industry, really even any outdoor industry, are having issues with manufacturing and things like that. So definitely be patient. Maybe try out some new products, try some new things, and
well, also
anyways,
if you know you're not going to use if you're looking for a dry fly rod and you know you're not going to use it until March or April, just go with a gift card or something if you're giving it as a gift. Be realistic about when you actually need the product, because that fly shop wants to help you out. They want to get you the right rod. So, or whatever product it is. I always default to rods. So, do you want to lead us into the PVC?
I wonder why.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Yeah. So I did a little bit of research and digging, and I'm not saying that I'm educated, but I did educate myself a little bit on PVC fly lines. PVC-free fly lines, I guess I should say. You've probably seen quite a few companies out in the industry these days are putting putting on their labels or advertising that they have a PVC free fly line. So when I first saw that, I was like, oh, cool. Well, I'm not laying any pipe anytime soon, so that's fine for me. But I had no idea really what that meant. What's the benefit? What are the pros or possibly cons for having a PVC fly line? So anyways, actually had one of my friends, Jarvis from Monic Fly Lines in Boulder. And Monic produces a lot of PVC free fly lines and have been doing it for a long time. And I called him up and asked him a couple questions about it, as far as more on the technical and manufacturing side about PVC. Brent, what do you know about PVC free lines?
I don't actually know from a technical standpoint, like a material science standpoint, why it might be better, other than the fact that it's potentially going to crack less and maybe less brittle. Actually, when I was working at Arbor Anglers in Golden, the owner, I thought, of Monic came in to show us these new fly lines, and he's like a mad scientist. It was really cool, super passionate about it. He came in with a bowl of water and some ice and was trying to show us that his fly lines don't get really stiff when they get cold. So he's got a bowl of ice on the counter and he's dunking the fly line in there, showing us, look, it still floats great. It's freezing cold in this water, and then it's got no memory. So that was a fun little showing. I actually got to fish those lines a bit, and they were in their early stages, but it's a cool theory for sure.
For sure. So again, I'm not I don't know a ton about fly lines. Admittedly, I wish I knew a lot more than I do, but so previously the fly lines that did contain PVC were vinyl, and they had plasticizers in the vinyl. So the vinyl was pretty stiff and hard. So they had different additives that they would put into the fly line mix to make that so that it was soft, bendy, had the feeling of fly line. But there's two negatives to that. Number one, those additives are apparently pretty toxic, pretty bad for the environment. So as they're in the water, as you're fishing them, casting, using them, those additives will end up leaking out of the PVC fly line. So, maybe not too big of a deal if you if you think of numbers. Maybe back in the day, if there were a lot less people on the river, there's less fly lines, there's less pollution. But nowadays, there's more people fishing, there's more people in the waters. Potentially that could add up. So that's one of the pros as far as the economical sense of the PVC stuff, is that PVC free lines do not have these additives that will leak out of the fly lines. So better for the environment. But on the flip side also, it does give you better performance, because where those additives will leak out of the fly line, as you mentioned, the fly lines could become brittle. So with those additives leaking out, there's nothing that really takes their place. So they'll crack, break, which also will allow water to get in, which makes them sink. I'm sure, it doesn't seem to happen to me very much anymore, but I definitely remember, 10 to 15 years ago, if I had a fly line, the tips would always start sinking on them. Yeah. I'm not sure if you ever had that, but I definitely remember you had to cut the fly line back or start replacing fly lines a lot because of that. Or they'll also put beads in fly lines as well, that are little beads that help it float, help it have different properties. Those beads can crush, can kind of get broken from those additives leaking out. So anyways, a PVC line is better for the environment, since those things don't leak out, and they should last you a little longer and be a little more durable.
Yeah, like the slickness coating or whatever won't wear out. So it stays slick through the life of the fly line. Yeah, I get
Correct,
that.
yeah.
I think,
and on that, I am curious, how often do you replace your fly lines?
That's a bad example. I
Okay.
all of my fly lines, I take them to fly shops to cast our G Loomis rods with them, so they all get thrashed in parking lots, and so they go quick. But I'd say before I was doing that, once a year, maybe twice a year if I'm fishing in like dirty conditions, like sandy riverbanks and stepping all over the lines. But man, when you get that new fly line on your, it makes such a big difference after you've been fishing a ratty old fly line.
Oh, I know, man. Fly line to me, I mean, obviously having a good rod is great, but to me, I've said this kind of analogy a few times, that the fly line's like the engine of a car, I feel like. So if you took the wrong engine, even if you put the wrong engine in a Ferrari, it's not going to drive like a Ferrari. You have to have the Ferrari engine in the Ferrari to make it drive like one, right?
Totally.
I don't know. That's kind of my take on it, is that you could have the best fly rod on the planet, but if you put the wrong fly line on it, it's not going to cast well. And yeah, totally. Definitely like what you're saying. It is funny. Like, you start being like, man, I need a new fly rod. What's wrong with this one? This doesn't cast like it used to.
My cast
I don't know. I kind of want a
sucks.
new one because I don't like this one as much anymore. My cast sucks. I'm bad.
Yeah.
Replace your fly line. Try or even better,
that's the
take it
first
into
place
a
to
local
start.
shop and say, hey man, take the current line, even maybe bring your rod into a shop and say, hey guys, my fly line, this isn't doing it. Something's off, something's wrong. I don't like this line.
Yep.
And it may be a perfectly fine line. It may not even be something with the line, but even just that, and I'm sure you could talk to a lot more on this than I could. The specific tapers just may not really jive with the rod that you have.
Yeah, that's a huge thing. That's probably the biggest thing I talk about. Matching rods to fly line tapers. Like, we build the rods to a pretty specific taper, and then try to expand it onto, well, maybe you can use a heavier nymphing line too, but you lose some of the overhand castability using that heavier line. So getting the right pairing is huge. And a lot of the shop guys, like at your local fly shop, those guys have been through all the different lines and know what line is best to fish in that general area. And then you can go back and say, okay, well, this rod casts that line better. Or just everyone's got a unique scenario to match up their fly line and rod. So go talk to the shop guys. They know what they're talking about. Yeah, if you ask us in the comments, I'm happy to talk about that as well. So we just didn't get any specific questions on, hey, I'm fishing a 6-weight Asquith. What line do you put on it? So
we get asked a lot on Blue Line's page. What lines do you guys use, or what line should I buy? And those are very difficult to answer because every rod is going to act a little different with the different lines, different tapers. I mean, Brent and I have our, preferred manufacturers for fly lines, but, even your rod may not cast that line very well, or, it's a very difficult one to say. So the best place to start is your local fly shop. And I will at least say it's happened to me before where you may buy a fly line and it does not fit your rod very well. I don't know if you've ever done that, but I surely have. I've bought a couple fly lines, rigged them up, was super excited, got out there, and I was like, ooh, probably a perfectly fine line for somebody's rod, but it's not for mine. So it's hard. It's a hard thing to do, and we definitely get it. We've all been there. I mean, I've bought lines before that just I fished with maybe one day and then had to take them off my spool because I didn't like it. So there's no, I mean, I don't know of a way to get around that.
Yeah. A lot of it depends on what style of fishing you're doing. Like, you could go fish the same section of river as me and fish the near side seam, and you'd want like a way heavier line than me if I wanted to fish the far side seam. So it just depends on your personal application as well.
I think a lot of people don't take into account as much as probably you and I do how like the nitty gritty intricacies of having a setup specifically for this. You know, people are, hey, what's the best, what's the Swiss Army knife fly line? Where that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for what is the best line for my hopper dropper rig? What is the best line for my nymph rig that I never use? What is the best line for my streamer applications? And I've got, I have a streamer line from nearly every manufacturer that makes a streamer line, trying to find ones that I like the best. So, a lot of people are looking for that. Hey, what's the one good line that I could use? And definitely not saying that you guys have to, dive off down into the weeds like we would about your different fly lines, but definitely something to keep in mind when you're talking to other people or talking to the people at your shop about a fly line. Don't say, hey, make sure that you include a little bit more. Like, well, this is the area that I like to fish. I like to fish streamers. I want to be able to have a rod that can handle, dry dropper rigs or nymph rigs. And certain things like that might matter to the fly lines that you're picking.
Yeah, I'll give a quick example. Like, just on my local fishery, the Lower Colorado, there's 3 different streamer lines I use throughout the year. And I could probably get a little more nerdy about it, but there's a certain time of year where the fish are right on the bank and super shallow. So I prefer to use a floating line that time of year. And then as you get into winter, they probably slide into the middle, deeper channels. So then I'll fish a full sinking line, like almost a lake line, and dredge the bottom. And then during the transition periods, the fish are not full shallow. I'll fish just a sink tip line. So you can get really specific with the lines. That's why it makes it hard when you walk into the shop and say, well, I just want to do it all line. Yeah, that line will work, but it'll be just okay for everything. So we get, super picky.
Out of curiosity, you don't have to tell me who they are, but are your 3 streamer lines that you use on the Lower Colorado, or is that all from the same company or no?
It is, yeah.
Huh. That's impressive,
I usually,
honestly.
Right. I don't know. I usually just order them all at once, so.
Yeah. That makes sense. I've even had some intricacies where I didn't like the sink tip or the sink rates of one line, but I liked another one of their sink rates or something like that. So I've run into some pretty technical stuff with fly lines, but definitely if you guys are out there in the market for new lines, hopefully this kind of opens your eyes a little bit to. At least for us, it's a whole lot more than just, let's grab a new fly line. It's, there's different applications. There's a lot of stuff that you can really get lost in trying to get a new fly line.
Yeah. If you're going to send us a question about a fly line, give us as much detail as you can. Like, tell us where you're fishing, what you're fishing, like what flies you're fishing, and how deep you think the fish are. Maybe your rod as well. So we could help do that. Yeah, the more detail on those fly line questions, the better. All right, a little bit of technical issues here. I'm in a hotel and the internet's not that great. But anyway, we think we've got it figured out. Hopefully this works. Let's move into the questions. Thank you everyone that sent in a question. Had some funny responses that I'm not going to share here, but there was also some good questions. Someone says, Q says Lefty Cray is going to rise from the grave and take his rightful place as the AFTA president, the American Fly Fishing Trade Association. No better dude than Lefty out there. He's a good dude.
That's a good one.
Next question was most effective way to catch a lot of dinks, as in small fish. Obviously, Euro nymphing. Just done. Check that
Euro
one
nymph
off.
or fish with your friends. My friends don't catch big fish.
So we just need to talk to Hobo Steve about that.
Yeah, we need to just get Hobo Steve on the phone because that's how we figure out how we. Oh, well, he could really only tell us how to miss fish, not catch them.
Oh, so he doesn't. I was going to ask him how he catches so many small fish.
Yeah, I don't know because he misses a lot of small fish too, which it's a whole conundrum fishing with that kid. I don't know. I get lost.
Yeah, we're going to have a word with that guy. Good Lord.
We'll get him on the podcast and ask him some questions. Really nail him down. Figure out what's going on with him.
Yeah, we need access to these small fish.
We do.
All right.
We do need that.
The first real question, one rod for the rest of your life, what weight and why?
Ooh.
You go first.
I feel like I know the answer, but I don't know if I should say it. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just gonna go with what weight and why. It would be a 7 weight. I can do everything really that I like to do with a 7 weight.
Yep.
If I want to bass fish, I do almost all of my bass fishing with a 7 weight. I do all of my trout streamer fishing, almost all, with a 7 weight. I use it for light saltwater application, redfish, bonefish. I mean, I've caught a lot of stuff on 7 weights. I mean, it's just my number one rod would be a 7 weight.
Dang, I am upset that you said that. Because that's what I chose too. I figured I would do a 7 weight ask with, because I can do the streamer thing for trout. You can do some bigger nymph rigs with it. It's not ideal, but you could.
Yeah, I've nymphed with a 7 weight.
Yep. And then you can go to New Orleans, catch redfish, go catch bonefish, maybe some baby tarpon. I mean, that's pretty versatile. If we're talking rest of the life, I gotta be able to have something that handles some salt water.
Yep. Well, you shouldn't have let me go first because I stole your thunder. But
took the wind out of my sails there.
Yeah, it would definitely be a 7 weight. I would think I would have a toss up between like that, like NRX Plus and the. Well, I haven't had a 7 weight. I haven't cast a 7 weight ask with. That I honestly really like that swim fly that I got too. That would be high on my list for me.
That's my favorite trout 7 weight for sure. The reason I said ask with is just because I think you could pull on a little bit bigger tarpon with the ask with.
A little better saltwater application on that one.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
But it's not as good for sinking lines in the freshwater, so.
Yeah. I don't know. I might choose a saltwater 7 and just take the hit on the chin for the freshwater stuff. And maybe just upline it. I don't know. That definitely 7 weight. Definitely because we both like to do some saltwater application too. So.
Yep.
That'd be me.
Nice.
Well, one of the questions that I got that I thought was pretty good was, what are your confidence flies? And I'm going to have you go first and just see how you answer this one.
Is this multiple flies, or are we picking one confidence go-to all the time?
Well, the guy said confidence flies. So take that for what you will.
Yeah. I mean, eggs and worms.
Duh.
No, I'm kidding. Actually, like, the fly I would tie on anywhere is probably a white dudgeon.
Good option.
Yeah, like the medium-sized one.
Right.
Or you got to go with like it's kind of moving from a regular hare's ear or pheasant tail to like a jigged soft tackle-y pheasant tail Eurobug. Probably catch fish just about anywhere.
Very true. I like that answer.
Those are my 2 choices.
I would say I've definitely got my confidence flies, but I feel like I have confidence flies of each thing. Like I've got my confidence dries, I've got my confidence nymphs, I've got my confidence streamers, I've got my confidence saltwater patterns. Like I've got a confidence fly of each classification.
Let's hear it.
Confidence fly, dry fly would be either a chubby or this thing that I tie that I'm trying to come out with is that has been nicknamed the Hudson caddis. But it's just a caddis. But it is kind of a tractor caddis pattern. It doesn't really look that much like a caddis. The first one I tied was a caddis. And then it kind of evolved into something that's I don't know if you could call it a caddis anymore.
It's called the caddis fly, but it doesn't really look like a caddis.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
it's a caddis.
that's right.
Yeah, for sure.
That's how Blue Line does things. And then nymphs, I mean, squirmy worms. Fish just eat squirmy worms. That's just all there is to it.
Yeah.
And then like I also tie this other nymph thing that I use a lot of that we're working on bringing out, or like kind of like a pheasant tail, that kind of style. Yep. Streamers, the Cooter Brown is my number one. If I was going to tie on a fly, it'd be that. For trout or bass. That's like
what color?
Just the olive and orange.
Ooh, olive orange?
Yeah. It's just so good. It's so good. It worked so good in Colorado when we were out there for short bus. I mean, it works. That fly just works.
That's hard
and
for me.
probably my
I'm
second one would be.
Guy.
I don't fish a ton of olive. It's got to have the orange in it.
Okay, so the orange is what does it for you.
No, it's the orange and the olive.
It's just got too much olive for me. I'm like white fly or black fly.
You need more orange then in your Cooter Browns. Is that what you're telling me?
Send me some Cooter Browns and I'll start fishing them.
Well, I don't have any because, as we said earlier in the podcast, they're tied on gamakatsus and they're out of stock.
Oh man!
I barely have any. I've only got like 6 of them. I don't have any to spare. As soon as I get some, I'll hook you up. And then for salt, I mean any sort of like any of those crab patterns, kind of like what we were throwing in New Orleans. I mean, I've caught so many fish. I've caught tarpon on crab patterns before. I mean, everything eats crabs. It's like a crab is like the squirmy worm of the saltwater world. So I think that's kind of where I would be, is some sort of like crab pattern.
I like it. Solid choices. There you go. You only need 4 flies.
That's it.
Yep.
A caddis that's not a caddis. I don't know. All right, we got another one. Hopefully you can help me out with this one. They asked for book recommendations, and I can read, but I don't read a lot. So
I can't read, so I have to have picture books.
Then,
but I actually do have a good recommendation.
Okay.
Not necessarily. I've never read all the captions in it, so I don't know if there's good information in it. But 50 Places to Fish Before You Die. It's like a coffee table book. Lots of pictures, and I flip through that thing all the time and dream about fly fishing trips. So,
all right. Well, then if you're going to do that, my choice is going to be the 50 More Places to Fly Fish Before You Die, the second version of that book.
The common theme is picture-themed books.
Hey, I love books, but I can't read. So, can you help me out with that?
Yeah.
That's why we're doing this podcast, folks.
Right.
No,
we couldn't do a vlog.
I still really enjoy, just because I think it's kind of how I learned to start. I still love fly tying books. I don't know why. I think more nostalgia than anything. Than I think they're that great. But it's been a minute since I've seen one that I actually really liked. I used to look at quite a few of Tommy Rosenbauer's books that had, the step-by-step pictures. I liked those. Again, if you actually want to read a book that John, I don't know how to say his last name, Griark. Do you know that one?
I don't know that one.
He's an author. John Griark, I don't know, whatever. Check down below here. I'll put a link to whatever his name actually is, and we'll figure that out. It's something like that. He writes some cool books. It's kind of like it's not like you're going to learn something about fishing from reading it, but it's a cool family fishing kind of thing, and a lot of like cool stories that kind of revolve around fly fishing. So
Yeah.
they're pretty
book
cool.
recommendations that you're not going to learn anything from. We got you covered on those.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you actually want to learn something, yeah, I don't know.
Don't use books. I've never learned anything from a book. Pro tip.
This is going to be such a popular thing for parents and their kids. They're like, oh, they should definitely listen to these guys.
Listen to these guys. You'll learn something. Well, that one was on there. I don't know if the guy who submitted that one knew what we would say, or if he actually wanted a serious answer, but we weren't the ones to come to for it.
Yeah.
Volunteer opportunities. Was asked kind of what volunteer opportunities there might be. Obviously, that's going to be a little more regional, I would say. Trout Unlimited is obviously a great program. I'm sure you have a local, if you live anywhere that there are trout, you probably have a Trout Unlimited program somewhere near you. That's a great way to get involved. They have a lot of volunteer opportunities through their programs. They're always up to something that you could, I'm sure, donate some time or some help, especially if you have any sort of skills as far as building or, whatever. But I'm sure that your local TU chapter could put you use, or another one, probably Project Healing Waters. You may have one of those near you. I know here in Salt Lake we have a group. One of my buddies is on the board for Fish for Garbage. Is a really cool river cleanup event that we host. That's getting bigger. We're trying to kind of. I know they've talked a little bit about branching it out into some Colorado stuff, Idaho, whatever. There may be like a river cleanup near you. I think social media can be kind of ridiculous at times, but that can be a really good tool for you to try to get involved and find some opportunities to maybe help get involved with like a river cleanup. And if you want to volunteer and there's nothing in your area, then why don't you organize a volunteer opportunity for doing a river cleanup or something like that at a local fishery? Partner with a shop or something along those lines. Everyone that I've ever met in our communities is interested in, cleaning up fisheries and clean water and helping fish out. So, I definitely would say if you want to volunteer, there's something in your area that you can do.
Yeah. Like you already mentioned, the fly shops are generally the heart of the fishing community in any given region. So just swing into your fly shop and ask them what's going on around here. Are you guys doing a river cleanup? Is there anyone, organizing to help protect the rivers? So that would be where I would start, because that's a totally regional thing.
Yep.
TU would be the national deal to start with, but even, they have regional chapters.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
good place to start there.
I agree. Here's a good question. Brent, what do you do in the off season to not go crazy?
I usually just go freeze and fish at a tailwater. But if I'm not fishing at a tailwater, I will fly to the saltwater and go fish somewhere warm or do some hunting, and then just get crazy at the vise with a bottle of whiskey and see what comes off the vise.
I've done that.
No. Really?
Yeah, I'm serious. I've done that.
Wow. That surprises me.
I know. My number one answer is there's not an off season for fishing. I don't know. Trout have an off season, or bass have an off season, but they don't really overlap. You can fish year round, as far as I'm concerned, in a lot of spots. Maybe you just love doing one thing and it just isn't around, I guess. What Brent said, save up your pennies over fishing season and go somewhere that it is. It's never too cold in Florida to fish. Those redfish are in there all the time. So Southeast never gets too cold to trout fish. take a trip somewhere. I don't know. Definitely tie a lot. I mean, I tie a lot all the time, but I definitely tie even more during the winter. And I know a lot of guys that are like up in Michigan, Wisconsin, whatever, that I talk to. Those guys definitely spend a lot of time on the vise through the winter to not go crazy. Personally, I also am a big skier and snowboarder, which I don't know. There's a couple of them right over there.
Yeah. One other thing I think that you could spend the winter doing is get your garage or your fishing room dialed. Like, make it as efficient as you can. Have your rod storage, have your different, if you got a streamer set up, a nymphing setup, like, get everything organized so when it is go time, like when it's prime season for fishing, you can get off of work and rip to the river, or you can have your boat loaded up. Like, get that program dialed. It'll save you so many headaches, and you'll get way more time on the water.
Good point. Definitely, my dry bags all need to get emptied out. My, my boat box needs to get totally taken apart and put back together a couple times a year. As we kind of mentioned fly lines earlier, I end up replacing my fly lines before I ever have to clean them. But clean fly lines, replace your leaders. I build all my own leaders. Everything all the leaders I fish are built. So build your leaders, replace all your leaders on your rods, things like that in the off season. I'm all about stuff that you can do when you're not fishing to make you more prepared to go fishing in. So that's good advice.
Totally.
Or duck hunt and go source some natural, organic, gluten-free materials.
Yeah.
Pheasant.
They might be gluten-free.
I don't know what gluten is, just if we're honest about it.
I mean, certain regions, the ducks, it's popular in the Midwest for the ducks to be gluten-free, but not quite yet on the West Coast.
Oh. Well, no, I thought gluten-free started on the West Coast.
So the ducks are backwards then?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's interesting.
Hot tip there.
Hot take from the RamblinFly podcast. This is why you sign in to listen to this stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Last one. I feel like I've got a couple good ideas here. Some cheap fly material alternatives. I feel like we just mentioned one. 12 gauge shells are relatively cheap.
Set of decoys, boat.
Set of decoys. You need a truck. You need a bird dog.
Yep. It's super cheap to go source your materials from hunting.
So cheap. Pheasants are, just easy to shoot. Squirrels, all it takes is 12 gauge shells. So.
No, for real though. I'm sure everyone's heard it. Go to the hobby store, Hobby Lobby. You can find some cool stuff. And the holiday section, Walmart or whatever does a holiday section. Go flip through that stuff. Maybe find something for $1. Go to the dollar store and cut something up.
I don't tie a ton of foam flies, but I just use Hobby Lobby craft foam for pretty much all of my dries and foam stuff. I don't use the stuff, honest to God, that you buy from a fly shop is better. But if I'm going to throw it in a tree in 10 seconds to begin with,
me. This is my favorite place to start. Fucking tree.
I don't know how much the quality really matters on that foam.
Yeah.
What you said, Walmart or Hobby Lobby's craft section, I've bought some stuff out of there before that's worked well.
Yep. If you're on a budget and you're really scraping to get fly tying materials, that's a good option. But it's always easier to just go to the fly shop and get the actual stuff that's in the recipe that you're looking for. But there's other options if you're struggling.
Yeah, if you have if you have access to someone's house that you don't really like, Just run in there with like a pair of scissors and, leather sofas, give you zonker strips, couch cushions would be great for dubbing.
There's plenty of resources out there.
Right.
I actually heard someone on a GT trip in the Seychelles, they were tying nyap poppers out of flip-flops.
There you go. Yeah. There you are.
Yeah. You can make it work.
Pin eggs instead of, that's all you need to fish anyways. And then you don't have to buy anything to tie flies.
Yeah. Just peg eggs. Done.
Yeah. That's the easiest thing to do. I just put myself out of business, but...
Yep.
Well, that was all of our questions. And unless you have anything, do you have any other questions you got to answer, Brent?
Nope, that's all the questions. I am looking forward to the new product alert because I have no clue what this is.
I do have an alert for a new product. First, I am going to do a plug. If you guys have a question that you want us to answer, please hop on our Instagram and leave us a comment, shoot us a message, or leave it in the comments below on the YouTube video. If you're listening to this on Spotify and potentially Apple at some point, please hop over on our Instagram, RamblinFly, and leave us a message either in the DMs or comment on a post and let us know what you want to see. So, going to the new product alert, I hope my screen sharing works. I have a product that I know, Brent, you are going to need for the upcoming season.
I can't wait for this.
Here it is. The Tactical All-Terrain Military Clog from Crocs.
Yes.
So, really awesome. We've got webbing down here for you to attach your hemos or your tippet to. I see a lot of use for that.
Is that molly webbing on the front?
Yeah, looks like we've got some molly webbing right here for your tippet spools, clamping your nippers or your hemos to. I think it's perfect. And then back here, look at this tactical piece of equipment.
This is a full-on backpack.
I know. You don't even need backpacks anymore.
Yeah, camera gear,
when you have the
fly boxes. Oh my God.
tippet, you put your sandwich and beef jerky down in this. You're set.
Why is this not more popular?
I don't know, and honestly, it really scares me. It comes in army green as well.
Oh my God!
With the orange, so that you can be,
yes.
tactical with your, and abide by the laws with the, so that you have your appropriate orange on while you're out hunting.
And the wide stance, that is going to be stable and just planted on the river.
I know, and available for women and men.
Dude, Sims is done.
Dude, I honestly think, I really do think we're going to have to, Sims may need a government bailout after seeing this right here. Look at this pouch.
They're not going to sell another pair of wading boots.
I don't know why you would ever buy wading boots again when this right here exists.
It's got a full-on backpack.
I know. There we go, guys. That's
why you come here.
To me, I think that's the end of wading boots and fishing packs as we know it. Is the new Croc Classic all-terrain military clog. So,
thank you. That's all I can say. You've changed fishing.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Good Lord.
The only thing that I am wondering about is, could the back double as a koozie?
Well, left foot would be a koozie, because then you reach down with your right hand, and then the right foot would be your sandwich materials. Oh my God! Yeah.
Wow, that's next level. So
it doesn't get better.
No,
I'm going to quit talking about it because it can't get better.
Well, there we go, folks. That's our take from this week. Their new product alert from Crocs. So grab you a pair. Let us know how they work. I definitely know I'm going to try to get sponsored by them because I think that's the best product I've ever seen. So
yeah, done.
If you're from Crocs, reach out to us for some. I don't know. You probably owe us some money after that plug that we just did for you for free. So, anyways. Oh, hold up. Things are happening.
Oh,
Here we go.
all right. So you can see it.
I can see it.
I just want to start by saying, as a fly fisherman, we literally do adult arts and crafts,
Yes,
tie feathers onto a hook,
that is correct.
and waste all of our time chasing fish to let them go.
Right.
And that gives some pretty good context to why this is so funny, but I hope we can hear it.
Okay, I'm ready.
All right. Inbound.
Don't flirt with him.
I'm not going to.
Yeah, this is possibly one of the best tails I've ever seen in my life. This is a tan one.
Ah, King Helen.
This is a beautiful bucktail.
I've ever seen in my life. This is a tan one.
Ah, King Helen.
I've been there.
Grown men, adult arts and crafts.
That was great. That was great. I feel like every time I do a fly tying demo, that's what the women in the audience are doing.
Oh, totally. Yeah, your wife probably is like pacing back and forth like, oh no, they're going to take him, they're going to take him.
Here he goes. God, I just can't have him going to these fly tying events anymore. That was good. I love that page. That page has some of the funniest memes, or I don't know, what is that? Is that a meme or a GIF?
I think that's a meme page.
A meme.
They post some funny stuff.
If it's a video, is it a GIF, or is it just a funny video, or can you call a video a meme?
I thought it was a GIF.
A GIF? I think that's the peanut butter.
No, that's Skippy.
Oh, never mind.
Well,
That's probably a question for a different podcast.
Yep.
than
Someone
what we
ask
have.
us or tell us what the difference is between GIF and GIF and Skippy.
Yeah, would love to hear that.
Yep.
Or
All right, well,
Goober.
that's all I got.
Have you heard of Goober?
Is that the peanut butter and jelly mixed in the same jar?
Yes, it is.
Yes, in a squeeze bottle.
Yes, it is.
Oh,
Next time you and I go fishing, we need to hit us up some Goober
oh yeah.
for our trip.
That's all you need.
That's all you need. Well, I'm going to start out and say I love how you said that this is going to be a 30-minute podcast, and it's now at an hour.
That is so not my fault.
Not my fault either. All right, maybe it's 50% yours and 50% mine. I'll take half responsibility for it.
Yep.
But guys, we really appreciate y'all tuning in. Hopefully you liked episode 2. If you did, if you're watching this on YouTube, please click the like button. That really helps us out, helps us know that we did something right. Please leave a comment if you want to hear us talk about anything, if you want to have any topics covered that you could think of, you want to hear us answer some questions, please leave those down in the comments. If you're listening to this on Spotify or potentially Apple in the not that distant future, please also consider hopping over to the YouTube. You can see the videos, you can see some of the other stuff that we posted today on the YouTube channel. Also, follow us on Instagram at RamblinFly. We'll have a post up, we have some stories going, and that's a great way to get in contact with us if you want us to go over something specific. Really appreciate you guys. I'm sorry we did have a technical difficulty halfway through. I'm really, really looking forward to the day that we could do one of these and not have a single technical difficulty. That's going to be fun.
We'll get there one day.
We'll get there. We'll get there. Maybe when we have like Joe Rogan podcast money, we'll be there.
Probably in a couple episodes.
I honestly, I'm already reaching out to some big sponsors. I think Apple would pay us a couple million for what we've got going.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
anyways, yeah. But really appreciate everyone who has dialed in. We both are kind of blown away at how many people watched episode 1, and we've gotten some great feedback from you guys. So hopefully we can keep it up. Hopefully this episode is a little more. The first one was definitely a trial run. So hopefully, if you like this episode, we plan to continue having some more of these.
Yep. Hopefully they get better every week and keep them rolling. Thanks everyone for watching.
I think that we're hopefully going to get better ourselves every week. So
We probably need to learn to read first.
I'll work on that. If anyone has any like Hooked on Phonics or something, I don't even know if they still use that. But if anybody has that, please go ahead and send those over to me, and I'll work on the reading part in the off season. So,
All right, that's good. Thanks, Adam.
Well, Brent, appreciate your time, man. Hopefully your hotel room gets some better Wi-Fi for next time.
Yeah, I'll book the Ritz next time.
There you go. Yeah, perfect. Put that on the company card.
All right, thanks everyone.
Thanks, guys. We'll see y'all.